This video pairs with buying shares, so if you haven't watched that video, go back and find that one and watch that one first. Selling shares. So we call the money received from selling shares as proceeds. So we're imagining you've already bought some shares, you're going to sell them, and what you get back are your proceeds. And the way to work that out is you don't get that whole amount back. We start with that large number that's coming back to you, and that's the value of the shares sold, minus the brokerage fees to pay. We've talked about that before. A brokerage fee is somebody that works for the stock ASX, the Australian Stock Exchange, and they're registered to be able to do these transactions, minus some GST that goes in that brokerage fee. Another note there is some of the language. Consideration is also what's called for that value of the shares sold. Just a reminder then that those two amounts are subtracted off from the value of the shares sold. Two examples now. If I wish to sell the BHP shares that I bought in the previous video, the 2,500 shares there, at a value of $80.24, how much money will I receive if my broker charges a percent, 1.5%? So the way to think about this is, and it's really good to lay it out, how that you're working out each calculation to communicate your maths there. The consideration, the number of shares that you have, multiplied by the price per share, comes out to this amount of money. Again, whew, big amount. That'd be great to have, wouldn't it? $200,600. A lot of money. The brokerage amount there is it's 1.5%. Just a reminder that 1.5% is equal to doing that over 100. That's how you get your decimal, 0.015. That's that part there. Multiply that by the consideration to get the brokerage fee here. And then the GST is 10% of the brokerage, remembering that of is a multiply. Here's our 10%. Multiply that by just the brokerage fee, not the amount of that you sold the shares for. So 10% of that number gives us $300.90. Now to work out how much you receive back, it's the first number, subtract the other two off. Cons stands for consideration. Subtract off the brokerage, subtract off the GST, and we're left with this amount of money that is coming back to you. A second example here, calculating the proceeds from selling 4,800 Futura shares at $2.13 each if the brokerage is a $25 flat fee. In this particular example, it's a flat fee, not a percentage, so it doesn't matter how many shares you sold, this is how much it's going to cost you. So how do we set this out? Communicating what it is you're working out at each point in time. So the consideration, writing that and showing how you've worked that out. The number of shares, 4,800, multiplied by the price per share. You don't necessarily have to put in that dollar symbol. Doing that multiply leaves us with $10,224. Next, that's a positive number, we're going to be subtracting off each time the next two amounts. So the brokerage, communicating what you've got there, we have a flat fee of $25. So putting that underneath, got 25 there, and then maybe I'll put a subtract in each of these just to remind us. The GST is 10% of the brokerage amount, which was $25. And so 10% of that, well, that's equal to 0.10 times by 25. So we've got $2.50. And so the total amount there, you take the first number, 10,224, and we're subtracting off 25, subtract off $2.50, and we're left with $10,196.50. And so that's how we calculate it when we're selling shares. There's some questions to do now. Thanks for joining me.